Hello, everyone, and welcome to podcast number 19. So, we're going to go over, because one of you guys asked for it, OP characters, or overpowered characters. This is going to be even us going over stuff that isn't 100% something that we roleplayed, but rather that we actually created for something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not necessarily meant to be played as a playable character, just like an NPC or as a story.
Yeah. We'll go into it when we actually explain them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 2 honorable mentions, so 7. Tammy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 honorable mentions, so 8. So because you have the most, do you want to start off first?
Sure.
Do you want to stick with White Wolf?
Yeah, we'll stick with White Wolf and then go from there.
So White Wolf is a role-playing system in which you can play a vampire, a werewolf, a mage, a changeling, which is pretty much fae, a wraith, or anything else very much supernatural they have.
Demons, hunters, etc.
Yeah. They, I think we play third or fourth. I don't remember exactly.
I think it's third, because I think fourth had the red vampire.
Yeah, fourth changed quite a bit, and I think fifth is what they're coming out with now, which still changes quite a bit. And we prefer the third. So, with that being said, we'll go over some details as we progress. For those that don't know exactly what we're talking about, we also will go into the character a bit more. I do believe that this is going to be podcast 19 and 20 dealing with this topic, but we'll see. So yes, Tammy, you can go ahead.
So,
yeah, say their name, spell it out for everybody, explain what they are, and we can go from there.
So I have the first one, which his name is Lucianus, Lucianus. Obviously, with that kind of name, he is a werewolf, very old one. He started in Atlantis.
Yeah,
and he was the princess's noble guard, like the number one person.
I was GMing that, and I had came up with the idea of doing an Atlantis campaign, which is where a lot of these, the ones that Tammy have, are a lot of me being GM and letting her become overpowered, along with the people that she's playing with.
For this particular character, Lucianus was a very large guy. He was like, I think, 7 feet before he went fluffy in the werewolf form, which that, I think, pushed him over 10 or 11 feet. He hunted demons. He cleansed demon-tainted things. And he was massive. And I don't even know, I can't even remember how ridiculous his strength got, but he was pushing someone else's character to the brink of maxing him out. So
with that one, I remember some of the features of that being that you were ghouled to a 4th gen, I believe. So. Generations for that system go with the concept that the first vampire, the main vampire, is 1st generation. Then the further you get away from him, the weaker you are. Going up to 13th/14th. And 14th is where basically if you turn somebody, that person becomes a 15th gen and is human for all intents and purposes. They actually cannot churn vampires. They actually have children and they become ghouls. And those 15th gen babies can actually die of old age.
Yeah.
So, a ghoul is a person who is partaking in vampire blood.
But is not turned.
Correct. So being a ghoul of a 4th gen makes you pretty strong because their blood is so potent that it actually kind of makes you act like a 2 or 3 generations further. So Tammy was kind of like a 6th or 7th gen in some intensive purposes. It's not quite perfect, and people will argue that I'm doing it wrong, but it's how I read one of the rules, so we went with that. As for the thing, we were running with 3 other people,
I believe so, yeah.
and those 3 other people were the main people that were playing. Tammy had to work a lot.
Yeah, when everyone else could get together, I usually ended up having to work. So my character was supposed to kind of just be like a side, like helper character. Be there when, everything went sideways and they needed to get out.
And one of the other people in the group, he worked 1 week and then would have a week off work. So we would be gaming 2 or 3 times a week when he was there, and then not at all when he was gone. So Tammy would play like one day, and then the other 2 days that she would want to, that we'd be playing, she'd be at work for most of it or part of it. So the demon hunting thing was the fact that I wanted to create a reason that Atlantis had fallen. So I had created an idea that just by the way I was doing things, that because they had hunted down demons, demons had basically sunk Atlantis when they were not on it. But Tammy had like a giant sword.
Yeah.
That was like originally a demon sword that she was cleansing. And then she also had freed a rhino. Not an actual rhino, a were rhino. Who had became her best friend. And at the end of that campaign, you guys settled in Portugal.
Yeah.
The southern part of Portugal.
Yeah, he was kind of a weird character. He also, like, adopted the equivalent of, like, 3 or 4 baseball teams worth of people.
Well, you also had two wives that were twins who gave you
18.
Per or 8? Yeah.
18 in total.
Okay. I remember, like, the fact that they kept
It was-
giving you the exact same number. I kept rolling the exact same number.
I think it
each
came out to
time.
be 6 boys and 3 girls from both of them, so total of 12 boys and 6 girls.
And then he would adopt people and train them. Orphans, basically, that, So, yeah, he was constantly taking in people. He constantly had people. He was the ship's, what's that, like, teacher for fighting? I can't remember the word I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, I can't think of the word. The only word that's coming to mind is quartermaster, and
Yeah.
that's not right either.
Yes,
so.
the same one I'm thinking of too. Anyway. So yes, that was him. You didn't get to play him a lot.
No.
But he did become very strong. The first one I will go over is same system, keep with that. His name was Seslav. Ceslav. And he was the 3rd born son of the Holy Roman Emperor, who also was the king of Bohemia / Prague, which is in Bohemia. I was a solo campaign, and the whole concept was that I was pretty much allowed to do whatever I wanted. So I could just basically, So yeah, the character married his babysitter that was like 4 years older than him. He also had a lover who his wife 100% knew about because they were all fooling around before he had married her, which was like a Middle Eastern woman. who was a bit younger than him, but which was given to him as a gift by his, okay. The girl was given to his father as a gift. His father then gave it to him because they were closer in age. He also ruled over a place in the Czech Republic, and then when he became a vampire, which he became a fifth generation true Bruja. A true Bruja is a long story, but they are one of the 13th original clans, and the Brujas were very stoic, and they, kept their emotions in check. And one of them, called Troil, she was, who was a fourth generation. She was very upset with her sire, the third, who was actually called Bruja, because he was not showing her the affection that she wanted. But he couldn't show her the affection she wanted. He had no feelings. It's part of his path, which is like we're all, most humans are on humanity. Most vampires are on something else. And she got so mad at him that basically she diabolized him, which is biting into a vampire, taking their soul and their power, and actually their generation. And there's a lot of speculation of what exactly happened, but in our history that me and a friend of mine who GMs a lot of this stuff and actually GM'd this one came up with was the idea that upon Bruja's actual death, his final moment, he actually used his discipline, which is called Temporis, which deals with time. And the final dot in it, which doesn't exist because no one should have it besides him, we went with the concept it's actually time travel. And he had tried to go back in time to prevent her from eating him. But by doing that in the panic of almost near death, he actually went into the future. And she still took his, basically about half his soul, is how we were going with it. So she still gets the generation of going down, but she's not dead. It was a weird way that we had done it. But, nonetheless, he became Prince of the Czech Republic. This character, Česlav. And the reason he was so mean is because he had Temporis almost to max. And some of the stuff in Temporis is mean. It's one of those disciplines that you're usually not supposed to give your people because it is just so mean. One of the abilities is to actually teleport. And you teleport, it's classified moving. You move so fast that you actually appear in two places at once. There's also the one where you can basically stop time and do whatever you want, including opening up doors and anything that does not revolve mechanics. So if you shoot a gun, you would just pull the trigger, the gun would do it, would not fire, but the gun would be ready to fire. However, you could take an axe and throw it across the room, because the fact that you're the one that's throwing it, where the gun's doing all the work. So it was a very interesting character. He used two blades, and I remember killing off a couple people who silly went after him, because after I played with the GM, I took the character and actually was using him while I GM'd. And I remember one person thinking it would be a smart idea to try to start a coup and take over the Czech Republic with the Ottomans, and he failed.
Yeah, you went over that in a previous podcast.
And then another group from Germany came over and wanted to diabolize him. And one of them, because he was one of those pot stirrers, he basically was like, so we're not going to kill him? Right in front of him. So he killed them.
Which, same podcast. It was a good. It was funny. That was for sure. Because I'm pretty sure I had a character in that one,
Yes.
which was the smart one.
Yes. That was your dominatrix.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go back.
So my second character, another White Wolf character. This one's actually a vampire, and his name is Zubin.
Which I GM'd.
So it's Zhubin. He was Persian.
Yes.
He was started off as a Persian shieldman with spears. And that's actually what his name translates to, is spear. But he slowly climbed the ranks of the military, and he got a tattoo on his face to like kind of show where he ranked in the military.
Him and his brother.
Yeah.
Which the brother was actually played by another person.
Yeah, and then you
played the sister.
NPC'd the sister, yeah. So he was pretty much this big beat stick of a character, and then we got turned into Tzimitsis. Old Clan Tzimitsis, I believe.
Well, if you're going to be any Tzimitsi, it would be Old Clan.
Yeah, but we had vicissitude.
Yes.
So
just explain that. There's an Old Clan Tzimitsi and a New Clan Tzimitsi. Old clans, which at the time would just call themselves Tzimitsi, they had Dominate,
Animalism,
and... Ooh, I'm blanking on the other one. Hold on. Auspex. So it was Animalism, Auspex, and Dominate. The New Clan, I'm pretty sure they lose Dominate, yeah, and get Vicissitude. Vicissitude is like body crafting. You can actually do some weird stuff with it. Also, but yeah, like you can get a horde form and stuff like that. But the primary thing was body crafting. In modern times, they start going a little more extreme with it. But anyway.
So this character, he becomes a ridiculously like top rank person in the military, and then he's sticking around with his brother and sister. They move into a cave, like a big cave system.
I think they became vampires by this point.
Yeah, they were vampires at this point, but
they were ghouls for most of their lives. I think they were born ghouls too, which means that their parents were both ghouls at the time. Also, I'm pretty sure you were with you guys' uncle, who's like a very uncool man, and you guys got rid of him.
Yeah, it's most likely what happened.
I think he was trying to sell your sister.
I think he held her ransom for something.
Yeah, you guys just basically destroyed him. Anyway.
So we move into this cave system. My character becomes, after of course we make it very livable and stuff, my character becomes very devout.
Yeah, he was part of a religion that was a Persian religion. Can you remember what it was called?
Not off the top of my head. It starts with a Z, and it's really long, and it's...
Do you want to look it up real fast?
Sure.
Okay.
So, it's Zoroastrianism, because, that's not complicated at all. Pretty much it's worshipping the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and wind. Yeah. And so it became very devout. And then later on, he learned a couple of different disciplines. I believe one of them was Serpentis.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much becoming more snake-like. And later on, you gain the ability to have scales, which increases your armor and stuff. And I was like, hey, the symbol for Tzimitsi is a dragon. So...
Also, one of the later forms of vicissitude actually is called a horde form.
Yeah.
Which you actually transform yourself into this abomination. Also, just cycling back real quickly, um, the discipline she was talking about is a follower of set clan discipline. It's usually they're the ones that get it. So you'd have to find a follower of set to teach it to her. You also had, I believe, a fire ability. I think it was
which
just.
was in. I want to say it was in Vicissitude. It was a level 6 called Dragon's Fire.
Oh yeah, it probably was. Okay, yeah. So basically,
what I did is I took Serpentis and I took Vicissitude and went, hey, let's meld these together. And so I pretty much was like, dragon form! And then I'm like, now I need to breathe fire. So he became very crazy and very
well,
if you didn't believe in his religion, you had to understand that you had to be part of his religion.
the reason he became quote unquote crazy is because of a path you had taken.
Yeah.
So instead of being on humanity, you were on a path in which your path was that you were very devout and actually would try to encourage people to become part of your religion. And if they didn't, they became part of your religion.
One way or another.
So a lot of people around him would just basically state they were part of his religion, and he would never question it, because why would they lie to him? And that's how a lot of them got passed with, like, either partially believing or half believing or anything like that. Because they had, like, thousands of people living in this underground catacombs.
And it was to the point where if you got captured in battle and he said you have to, this is your new religion, and you said, no, it's not, you either got pretty much waterboarded, you got dunked in water because water was the source of knowledge in that religion. So you got dunked in water a lot until you said, okay, I understand and I believe. Or if he didn't think you were savable, you either got tossed in a fire because fire purifies, or if you just really got him angry or was too powerful, he would just fire breathe you. And then you'd be little crisplets.
They lived in the catacombs because of that problem. He started symbolizing this problem in his life where he would actually, like, try to force people to become part of the religion. And his brother and sister were like, yeah, we gotta keep him away from people. So they kind of pushed him towards the catacombs.
He wasn't allowed to parties anymore.
Yeah, the catacombs were old. It's actually somewhere in Persia. We had actually found a old trading post that had some catacombs, and then we built from there.
That was pretty much him.
So the next one I'm going to go over is, probably just Zika. So Zika was a second generation character. His name is spelled Zeki. He was actually turned by the first vampire Cain. The GM had done up a story where I was a little farm boy in the middle of nowhere, and a bunch of people come, and what do you do kind of idea. And very much I fought back, and I can't remember why I had told the guy I was going to kill him, but one of the guards had basically done something, and I told him that basically I would get my revenge. I would kill him. And I had kept like a little sharpened rock with me, like an arrowhead. And basically I had moved my hand over to my pocket, pulled it out of my pocket, cut the rope that I was that were around me. I had to have been like, I think 6 or 7. Like I was a young kid, this character, at this point. I then snuck up to him, pulled out his knife, and stabbed him in the heart with it. And when all the commotion happened, because I didn't kill him on the first blow, and I killed him on the second, though, I think maybe I actually stabbed him in the throat. I can't remember. But I know I didn't kill him on the first hit, because there was a commotion. When the leader of the group came over and talked to me, I basically said, I told him I was going to kill him. I'm a man of my word. And I dropped the knife, and I was like, I'm done. And basically, the guy was like, okay. I'm like, can I keep the knife after everything's said and done? And just the way that I did it all, the GM kind of went with the concept that the man thought I was amusing and took me as his son because people get sold off as slaves. And that's what they were doing, was capturing a bunch of folk around the area, going to the first city of Enoch, which is in White Wolf terms is where a place that Cain went after he was banished. Cain is the first vampire, if you didn't get that part. Cain, as in Adam and Eve's son, who was banished to Enoch, banished to the land of Nod, and yeah, eventually made his way out and found Enoch. So, yeah, the character became a guard who then would actually go out and find people, just like what happened to him, and he would kidnap them, bring them back, and force them into, this indentured servitude of slavery. That's how he found his wife. She was feisty, so he took her. She bared him twins. Everything was going well. He got turned into a vampire, and he basically traveled the world. He met Lilith, which was the first wife of Adam in I think the Jewish religion, but nonetheless, in White Wolf, that's still the case. Cain also spent some time with her. She taught him how to use disciplines. He basically looked after, found her, and they had a romantic relationship that lasted the entire time. She used her magic to make him mortal and have children with him. And they had twins, both daughters. And later on, those twins became Gangrel and Ravenos, respectively. I don't know if I said respectively. It's not like it was like, told you who the heck they were, but that's basically who they became. And he actually turned them. So, and then his great-great-grandson, or something like that, is Tzimisce. And he also turned a Aztec group that were Panther people. He also created another bloodline of vampires that were all women. They could never change men. It was all vampires have a flaw, and this one's flaw was that she was a blacksmith who always felt like she was underappreciated because she's a woman. So when she was turning people, she would turn women who were underappreciated but good at their craft. And then one time when they went to go turn a male, they found out that was their weakness, that they had been focusing so heavily on this underappreciated women that males cannot be turned. There was also another group he is responsible for, which are always twins. And they always get potence, celerity, and fortitude, the physicals. But they always get turned together. They are bound together. I don't think they actually had any problems being separated, but it was just the idea that they were. It was a trait, I guess, not really a flaw. But he had every discipline that you could possibly get that did not affect him in any bad forms. So he had, which is some of the mean ones that he had, which is protein, which is Gangrel's one. At level 10, you become the body of sun. It's called Body of Sun. You shine so bright that you actually burn vampires to death. And then the other one that he got was a Ravenos one, which is Shimmerstry, which level 10 is reality. And you can actually take someone from our reality and put them in their own individual reality. And he would map out everything about it and stuff like that. He was just brutally mean when it came to the modern times. So, and that is literally part one, because we're looking at the clock. It's about 30 minutes in. We are doing this a little bit differently, so I don't think it'll actually cut out at 30 minutes like it used to before. But we're still going to stick with the 30-minute time limit. So, tune in next week when we go over the rest of them. Yay?
Yay.
Okay. Anyway, my horde. Limp sideways.